Welcome back to the podcast where we ask the question, what makes you happy? Now, our guest today is an author, but also a retired police officer with a great perspective on what makes them happy. And I am super excited to share that with everyone today in the What Makes You Happy podcast family. We have Joseph Patrick Fair from the United States. And it is an absolute pleasure to have you today, Joseph. How are you?
Excellent, Jake. Thanks for having me on your podcast. I love it. I just listened to 2 or 3 episodes, one with a woman that was a psychotherapist, and she explained gratitude and all that. What a beautiful show you have.
I'm super grateful for your time to come and share the thing that really brings you the most joy, or the things that bring you the happiness in your life. And I want to get your perspective on what makes you happy, Joseph. So do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, what makes me happy is to help other people. Being a writer, it gives me an opportunity to bring my thought process and maybe my thought leadership to my followers in writing. I'm very grateful to have a pretty large social media following. And often when I see interactions and likes and reshares on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, any of them, I know people are getting value out of that. It's affecting them. Maybe the way they're approaching life, maybe helping them get in touch with gratitude. And that's...
When did you discover that writing, teaching, conveying was something that brought you joy? Was there a moment in your life where you went, oh, this is really fulfilling for me. I enjoy this.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, 2013, 14, a friend of mine brought a book to the market, and I read his book. He had worked in public safety and whatnot, and I said, wow, I've got a story to bring to market. So I started writing a Google Doc and went through and thought about stories I had heard, different things in the media. It was a pretty jumbled list of things, ideas, whatnot. I was lucky that I got onto LinkedIn and hired a writing coach. Her name was Susan. She had already published a few books, and she looked at my Google Doc and said, boy, you got a great story here. It just needs a lot of polish. And once she started polishing, I saw a rough book turn into a gem, and I got super excited. And then the last 10 years since I retired from public service, I've been basically repeating that. I've been making my writing better, introducing, networking with other people, helping them bring their book to market. And it's been a very exciting journey.
So, Joseph, this is the part of the podcast where I like to ask a question of the guest, of some insights or perspective. And I want to phrase it to you like this. So say our audience, or there's someone in the audience that is struggling with their happiness, and it's frustrating the hell out of them because a lot of people in their life are talking about how happy they are. They're super fulfilled, whether they've got a really great job, really great family, really great social group, they're just kicking goals. And that is making them feel maybe a little bit underdone in their life. They're not achieving, they're not happy. Everybody else has things going on in their life, and they just are constantly feeling a bit of unhappiness. What is your advice to that person? What's the first thing they could do to start getting something to go their way?
Yeah. The first thing they could do is to start a gratitude journal and write back the things that they're grateful for. By focusing on that, it somehow makes us pay more attention to the things that are going right in our life by paying attention to what's right in the past. And it often gets our mindset up to a point where we're ready to take a chance. We're ready to take a creative idea and bring it to market, and we're less concerned about what other people think about it. And that little bit of courage, that little bit of gratitude, that little bit of writing helps somebody sometimes put the key in the lock and turn it and take that action. And then after that action, there's an explosion of gratitude that comes with the fulfillment of finishing something. The day I saw that in the bookstore, it was one of the greatest days in my life. So a person needs to write a gratitude journal, figure out what they're excited about, what they obsess about, what they want to do, and then accept that there will be challenges in any project and that they have to get over those and build up their strength to have the courage to bring their creativity to the market, and don't care what people think. If people like it, great. If people don't like it, great. Just have the courage to take your creativity and bring it to the market.
Wonderfully said, Joseph. And I want to pose this sort of question to our listeners worldwide. You've heard what Joseph had said, in terms of how he's brought his book to the market and how that brought him an immense amount of joy and satisfaction, and now how he's teaching other people. But I hope that you haven't somewhere along the way started to compare yourself to Joseph's story, because you have your own story to write, and that is completely different to mine, Joseph's, or any guest that we've had on this podcast. So, when was the last time that you did any writing of reflection? And that is your job for the next day or two, is to sit down, even if it's for a couple of minutes, as uncomfortable as it might be, while you're eating or while you're, writing an email for work. Maybe even take 5 minutes just to reflect on the day that you had before and see what you come up with, because you might surprise yourself with something that you learned. You might learn something about yourself in that moment. So, Joseph, I really appreciate your time, and I want to speak on behalf of our podcast audience, the What Makes You Happy family. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective on the things that bring you joy. Joseph, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and I hope to have you back on the podcast in the future.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope it gives you something to think about on your quest to discover what makes you happy. Make sure to check out whatmakesyouhappypodcast.com to connect with today's guest, and follow us on all our social media platforms, and to stay up to date at what's happening next at What Makes You Happy. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend, and we'll see you next time.